Thanks for staying with the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Laura Jones, and on New Jersey's Gerald joins us now from Medford in Burlington County, where voters faced some pretty long lines. Gerald, we were texting and going back and forth yesterday, but what I'm hearing in addition to what you experienced is extraordinary. They had to keep the polls open longer. People were in line until midnight, possibly 2 a.m. What did you see at your polling location in Burlington County?
Long lines, Laura. I mean, I have never seen lines quite like this, and I think we have some video of it as well. The lines wrap all the way around the building. I mean, look at that. I
Wow.
counted just, in a small amount, over 100 people
Wow.
in front of me, but look at what was behind me.
How long were you in line? How long did it
So
take?
over 2 hours,
Over
two
2 hours.
two
And then,
hours, about 2 hours and maybe 20 minutes.
and now, once you got inside, how many voting machines were there?
There were only three actual machines.
Wow.
So you have
Wow.
to
Yeah.
wonder, with such a big district, why there were so few machines. And the process was very different this year as well, Laura.
Yeah. Can you tell me a
We
little bit
have a
about
s-
that? Yeah.
we have a system here in Burlington County where you have to have a polling official escort you into the booth. They then take a card, they activate the machine with their card,
Uh-huh.
they show you what to do. It's a touch screen. You make your selections, and then you have a printout that comes out right below you, and it's like an HP printer from Staples
Hmm.
that prints out this ballot, and it's huge. It's this
Oh.
huge ballot that prints out, and you have to then take that paper ballot with all of your selections, check them. You then have to walk out of the booth. Why there's a curtain anymore,
Really?
I don't know, because your vote's no longer private. And walk in front of everyone and election officials with your votes exposed.
Oh.
And then you have to put it in a scanner and they take it and they obviously see who you voted for. So
Oh, I don't like
voting
that.
in Burlington County is no longer a private experience. It is your vote is public for everyone to see. And I mean, you can put your hand over it and walk
Yeah.
out, but they still have to scan it. The election officials, they will see who you voted for. So I was a little uncomfortable with that because
That's
your vote should be private. You
well.
should be
That
able to go into the booth and make your selections.
well. That's it. Voting, whether you voted or not, that is public record. But who you voted for, that is a constitutional right. That is to be private. What was the mood like for the others waiting in line for all of those hours?
I was really surprised that no one left the line. And it was quiet. People just kind of looked at their phones and waited in line and weren't really talking about the election. They were more just talking about how long they were on the line and they didn't expect this. But you didn't have people talking about, I'm here to vote for Trump. I'm here to vote for Vice President Harris. No one said that. I didn't hear it anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was kind of odd. Like, I really wanted to ask people, and I
Right.
didn't, but I really wanted to ask people, who are you voting
Right.
for? Why are you in line? Why are you refusing to leave?
Yeah.
And looking at the numbers, Burlington County is still counting as of this morning, only 87% reporting. So Trump with just over 90,000 votes, Harris with just over 125,000. So if you look at 2020, Trump had 103, Biden had 154 and change. So, the numbers, are they lining up? We'll see. Um, it seems like Burlington County, that has been really a very red county in New Jersey, has been shifting blue, and I think these numbers here support it. It is also the district where Andy Kim was in the House of Representatives, and now Herb Conway has won that seat. So it has definitely shifted more blue here. But if you look at a county map, you'll see the county is very divided. On the western side of the county, it is very blue, and on the mid and the eastern side of the county, it's very red.
Well,
So
I
it,
mean,
it is a very, very split county.
interesting because last night when I was looking at the returns, at one point it was at 0% reporting.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's got to be a glitch or something. I don't think that it was because there were so many issues. And I know I was listening to the radio on the way in this morning. Some polling places had to stay open until midnight.
Yes.
People were in line until 2 o'clock in the morning. I've never heard.
So I have reports that they
Is that true?
extended voting in Burlington County till 9 p.m. and as long as you were in line by 9 p.m., they were going to wait and allow you to vote. So some people were out there well past midnight in order to cast a vote. At that point, the election had already been called.
Yeah.
And but people still waited. They still cast their vote. So really determined voters here in Burlington County. What's interesting is I've never seen lines like this before.
No.
And so was it turnout for the presidential election, or were the lines caused by issues with the voting system?
Yeah.
And it was an extremely slow process.
Yeah.
My experience was that the election workers were constantly moving all over the room, and there was no one really assigned to a specific place. Like sometimes there was no polling officials near the booths, and then it was kind of like they were just kind of darting around the room. I don't think they expected the turnout they got, but it was also seemed to be very disorganized. There was also very little to no help for seniors or people who are disabled. They were standing in that line. It was actually some of the people in line with me who went and got some of the elderly and disabled people, walked them up and said, "Hey, can you let these guys in?" Yeah. So, there was no one there really helping. There was a small sign somewhere, but I mean, you go to the back of the line when you get there. You don't go to the front of the line and look for a sign. Right. So there were a lot of issues, and I think Burlington County has a lot of work to do before next year's race for governor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do think it's also, you touched on something very interesting about people staying in line after it was called. Now, depending on what station you were looking at, one station, I think Fox called New Jersey very early on. NBC, they kept waiting. And that's what I was looking at those numbers because they saw, and I think they saw in certain counties that the votes were not coming in. And Burlington was a county. And because it was so much closer, 4 or 5 points, that Donald Trump came within beating or tying with Kamala Harris. I think that they were really taking their time to ensure that they got it right. And so even though, again, after it's called, people want to stay in line because they're there, they want to show their patriotism. They want to. It's very personal. And again, it isn't necessarily who. It doesn't matter who they're voting for, but they want to be there on that day.
I think. Yes, they do. And that's a big point. And there were some people I spoke to who regretted not doing early voting, and you may see more early voting coming up next year. But I think a lot of people are really, really engaged with the process at this point. And I really think that's going to have a huge boost for the race for governor. If, especially with, President Trump in office, he's here in New Jersey all of the time. He had great numbers here in New Jersey. Is he going to come out to support candidates or, the Republican nominee for governor? That will be fascinating. And then if you look at the numbers across the state, if the Republicans duplicate what Donald Trump did next year and they focused on driving out the vote in places like Burlington County, you could see another Republican governor because this county really still is a bit of a swing county. It recently turned blue, and it could very well go the other way. We also had a ballot question here in Medford, and the ballot question was to significantly raise taxes. The school board wanted to significantly raise taxes for homeowners in Medford, and that was shot down. And which is very, very interesting. And part of the reason for that tax hike was because of the school dollars that were pulled by the administration here in New Jersey, and they were moved to other districts. And the school board, in order to have the staffing that they wants to raise taxes. And it's like a huge tax increase year one, and then it's hundreds of dollars each year after that. And it looks like the people have decided, no, that's not the direction we want to go.
And I think all of these messages are going to be looked at very carefully as we're already looking into New Jersey's race for governor in 2025. Open seat, Phil Murphy is not able to run again, so you've got, we'll be having primary elections on both sides of the aisle. And we'll be there covering it all. Gerald Giambra, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Laura.
And we want you to stay with us. There's more news, talk, and weather ahead on the New Jersey Morning Show.